Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of Just Gay Stuff podcast.
Hello.
I am Jess.
And I'm Lauren. And hey, just before we get started, I just need to tell you that this week's episode is brought to you by the very lovely Margaret Kaye, who happens to be a Feldenkrais practitioner.
And what does a Feldenkrais practitioner do?
Well, Feldenkrais is a method that aims to improve body awareness and movement patterns through gentle exercises and mindful exploration. It is named after its founder, Moshe Feldenkrais, and is often used for rehabilitation, stress reduction, and enhancing overall well-being.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So how do we contact Margaret?
So we will put her lovely website on our show notes.
Oh, awesome. So
Yeah.
guys, if you're looking for this kind of service, click in the show notes and we'll connect you with Margaret.
Yeah.
And today we have the absolute pleasure of another guest joining us on this chat.
Which I'm so excited for.
And we are introducing you to Zack. So say hello, Zack.
Hi guys, how are we?
Yeah,
We're
we're good. How are
good.
you?
I am very well this evening.
Excellent. Better to be talking with you. We're better now that we're talking with you. So, Zack, tell us how you identify to start off with, and then we'll get into our little discussion topics for today.
Cool. So I use he, him pronouns and identify as bi/pansexual. It's a bit of a
Cool.
long story.
That's all right. We've got time for it. We're
And
here to listen.
We are ready to hear it. So, yeah, let's talk about your journey to your self-discovery.
Yeah, cool. So it starts out young, as a lot of discovery does
Yeah.
for people in the queer space. But I don't think a lot of people know this, but my first exploration into sexuality happened at a very, very young age. Won't talk too much about that just because it involves other people that haven't consented fully to it, but
Yep.
very young, and it was with someone of the same sex as well at the age. So that happened. A bunch of stuff around that happened as well, which sort of led me to question the validity of feeling towards same-sex people
Yeah.
at the time. Because this is pre-teen years, so very young.
Yeah.
Skipping forward a little bit to sort of 14, 15, somewhere in there, early mid high school. At this point, and I'm sure Jess will remember this because we went to school together.
Yeah. She did say you went to school together.
I entered high school. Yeah, so I entered high school 6 foot, needing to shave on the first day, just about.
Yeah.
So
At
I had-
13.
Oh, wow.
I had gone mostly through puberty by the time I hit high school. So I was ready, and I was ready to start exploring myself, my sexuality.
Yeah.
Just not everyone else was.
Yeah.
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 And come, as I said, sort of like 13, 14, 15, I started to see, obviously, young people my age, girls mostly, and I was interested, started doing the whole dating thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually through music and my exploration of different genres of music that more androgyny started to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of men wearing lots of makeup, long black hair, things like that started to be like, oh, hey, remember how you were different, or you perceived you were different younger?
Yeah.
Maybe there's something to that. And then I tried to come out at high school. Didn't really work.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for
Did
a
you
whole
try and-
host of
Did you try and come out to a friend, and then they kind of didn't accept what you were saying, and then you were like, "Oh, better go back into my shell"?
it was less than coming out to like one person. It was more just coming out as general. I didn't feel like I needed to.
Announce it or something.
No, I didn't feel like I needed to be private about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like it's just me, and then that led to other problems. So I then tried to come out to my parents, specifically my mother. My parents were divorced at the time, and I was like, "Hey, I think I might like guys as well."
Yeah.
So I think I'm bisexual, and I used the term bisexual at the time because I didn't have a broader understanding.
Yeah.
Also, pansexual is still quite
It's
a new
very
term.
new. We just recently went through a few of the terms, and Jess only rediscovered the word sapphic.
Yeah. Let's not get into that one.
I heard that, and I was like, man, I knew about that when I was young.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
As we all are.
Yeah, so you use bisexual.
At the time I was using bisexual, and my mum, she was fine with it, right? Like, I have an aunt who is lesbian, So mum was kind of, okay, cool. Obviously had questions, as all parents do, and concerns, as all parents do, about anything sexually related when you are a 14, 15, 16-year-old, still a minor.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I felt coming out socially, I didn't really fit anywhere. I am a fairly traditionally masculine presenting male, as most people would say. I have a big beard, always had a beard.
Very tall,
There's
very
nothing.
broad.
Yeah, I've never tried to really present feminine in any way. So at the time, there was definitely, I felt, a bit of a focus for people who were either gay males or, it was around the era of Queer Eye for a Straight Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my experience of like the gay life, and it was like, men who are into other men are usually very feminine, very
So flamboyancy.
female presenting, flamboyant, not female presenting, but very feminine. And I tried. I went out a couple of times with makeup on. I got really into the goth scene, so that was sort of
A gateway
link
for
with-
you.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, this doesn't work for me. I'm not fitting in anywhere. I'm almost feeling like I'm ostracizing myself from my group of friends that I was around
Yeah.
by trying to be more queer presenting.
Yeah.
And then I also wasn't finding anything with queer presenting people either. So I just
Yeah.
sheltered back in.
I also think when it comes down to representation at the time, you've just mentioned Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I remember watching that show vividly as a kid, and the male presenters on the show were very feminine. We're talking the likes of Carson Kressley and Jonathan Van Ness, and they're putting their flair into giving straight men at the time some style. So I can see from your point of view, Zack, that you were watching that program going, oh, this is how a gay male typically presents, and I have none of those qualities, so where do I fit? Even though at the time you were identifying as bisexual, I can see how in the early 2000s, there was little to no representation or talk about what bisexuality looks like for a man.
No.
And so you are in this space of, well, who am I and how do I present?
Yeah, I think in saying that also, like the representation, we always struggled even to have women queer representation for us as women and how we identify. So I couldn't imagine as a male not having that.
Especially back in, this was early 2000s when Zack and I were in high school. So that's, we were just starting to get lesbian representation,
let alone
male bisexual representation.
Yeah, and it's obviously, I think bisexuals and pansexuals have a problem with not being at the forefront.
Well, yeah, even now, if you asked me to name a openly bisexual or pansexual male lead in mainstream media, I would struggle.
Yeah, obviously lesbian and gays are generally more portrayed as the forefront of moving the queer society forward, where bisexuals, especially in that period, were very sexualized. Like, if you're a female bisexual, you were just looked at as a target for dudes who are like, oh yeah, I can go and get a threesome with these two girls because they're bisexual. Whereas if you're a dude, you're just desperate. Like, you can't find a girl. You've got to try and bat for both teams, as people say.
Yeah.
And it really sort of felt like, well, this sucks. And going through other mental health problems at the time was like, why would I want to put myself out there like that? Just want to go back into my shell and just continue on with life.
Which also comes back to that thought process of when people say to you, I don't know why you would choose this lifestyle. And it's like, well...
Oh, why can't you make up your mind?
Yeah.
Like, what?
It's like, oh, I would really choose to be discriminated against and choose to not have a place to fit in society and choose to have zero representation. Thanks for that.
Yeah, ignorance.
And so we'll fast forward once more. I had, funnily enough, a very similar story. I listened to the first episode and listened to story from both of you, and I was like, oh, well, that sounds vaguely familiar. So I got out of a very long-term relationship of over a decade and started seeing someone new, and this was my first exposure to pansexuality. My partner said, hey, because I introduced myself on the app as bisexual. She's like, oh, I'm pansexual. I was like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What's the difference? And that then led me on a journey sort of discovering and exploring gender as a whole, as a big subject. And now probably after a bit of time, I more comfortably recognize that pansexuality is a better term for the way that I feel because gender doesn't necessarily play a role in who I find attractive or romantic towards.
Yeah,
So
excellent.
that's my coming out story. I'm now out to most people that know me, that it matters to. Not that it really matters to anyone except people I choose, but
Yeah.
I don't hide it as much anymore.
That's amazing.
That's good that you feel comfortable enough in yourself and the people that you keep in your inner circle and that you see on a day-to-day basis that you can be authentically you.
It's like the where we spoke about, creating safe spaces. So it's wonderful that you have that support system that you can come out to.
Mm-hmm.
I think a big thing for me too, with everything that's going on in like the bigger geopolitical world, sometimes phrase this right, but I don't want to be misidentified as straight because that can be weaponized against the queer community.
Yeah.
That I definitely want to stand up for because I feel like there's so much hate out towards people like that.
Yeah.
That if I am I'm in a privileged, safe spot where I can be like, no, don't say that about me. Like I am pansexual, bisexual, whatever you want to call it. I don't prescribe to that, and I want you to understand that I want people of my community, because it is my community as well as everyone who's involved, to be safe and to feel like valid human beings.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're striving towards.
I was literally going to say that's so important. That's literally what we're doing. You did.
Well, and I think, talking to Jess, I think after the first episode air, I was like, oh, this is really good to have such like realistically, we're based in Australia. It's very niche. And it's nice to see representation where people can do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like you said to me after the first episode, after listening to my coming out story, because we were friends and you were on the outside of that, you didn't realize what was going on the inside from like my story by my point of view. I think the same thing. I didn't realize that you were openly, I guess, questioning your sexuality at 13, and you and I didn't really connect in high school until we did music class together, so grades 11 and 12. And so, I would have completely like missexualized you as well because you do present quite straight, and it's good to have someone like you in the queer community to actually fight back on those gender norms, I guess. Oh, this is what a straight person looks like. This is what a gay person looks like. I think that's so important. And to have you presenting the way that you present and then to be able to fight back and have that say in the queer community is really important.
So important.
Yeah, but that's my story. That's what got me here today.
Along that, I know that we've spoken about a few things that kind of put you back in your shell or put you back halfway into the closet, but have you experienced any like pinpointed homophobia along your journey or even today where you have had to arc up and be like, hang on a minute, I am a part of the queer community? Have you got any stories?
Oh, look, nothing particular because I don't want to put other people because I know people have a chance to grow and evolve. But
yeah, absolutely.
Mine's more a case of biphobia and misunderstanding about bisexuality.
Yep.
Yeah.
From a straight point of view, like you tell a straight guy that you're bisexual and they immediately think, oh God, are you attracted to me? It's like, no. Are you attracted to every person that walks past, like every female that walks past? No. So it's the same. It's a two-way street. Yeah. And then there's the other side of it, which is a very small problem inside the community where there is some issues from gay people that go, well, you're not really gay, and it's like, well, no, I'm bisexual. It's like, well, that means you're less than.
Yeah.
That is very minimal, but it does happen.
It is important though, because Lauren and I talked about, not on air yet, but we've talked about how if you're bisexual and you're a woman, but you're married to a man, suddenly people, they think, oh, well, you're straight because you've chosen a man. So you've chosen the straight lifestyle. It's like, well, no, I can still identify.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can still identify as bisexual. This is just who I'm attracted to, and I've decided that I'm going to spend my life with this person. It could have easily gone the other way.
It's very, it feels like erasure for a lot of bi people.
Yeah.
I read a lot of stuff from other bi people or pansexual people that if you choose to live your life with someone that you are, attracted to and in love with, and that just happens to be someone of the opposite sex, a lot of people see you as straight. And if it's of the same sex or with someone who's presenting non-binary or masked femme, but just looks similar to you, you're just going to be assumed by a lot of people to be gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about the assumptions, right? And that's why we're doing this podcast to help with the education.
And so a big discussion topic that you wanted to discuss was the B in LGBT. Have we covered most of that? Or you talked about in a message to me about the representation on television. Who did you identify with on TV growing up, or did you not get that chance at all because the representation just wasn't there?
Well, I think that is the big thing is it wasn't there for me as a bisexual man. The closest thing I think was it was often presented in music, the sort of sexual fluidity of people that, you know, there's guys and girls and video clips and everyone's having a great time and enjoying each other's company. That was probably about the only representation I could find. I didn't really find many TV shows because it was presented as very gay or very lesbian, depending on how you want to put it, or straight. There was the bisexuality just came out as a sexualized thing. It wasn't really brought out as just a, hey, people can be attracted to both sexes or all the sexes, not even both. And that was a big thing that I learned later on in life is bisexual when I was growing up, to me, always meant you're attracted to both sexes. And now pan and even a lot of bi people just say that it's the attraction to more than one sex or gender presentation.
And so did you find solace in people in music in particular, like David Bowie, or seeing that androgyny and being like, oh, it's okay to present this way, or it's okay to present that way, even though you weren't presenting that way yourself? But is there any like one person that you went, oh, there's my solace, there's my celebrity that I can look up to, or specific in music or anything?
Yeah, I think Bowie's actually probably one of the best examples.
Yeah.
I found a lot of exploration through Bowie, especially Labyrinth.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, you know, Labyrinth, you look at it, you're like, okay, I'm into that.
Yeah.
I love that movie, and I made Jess watch it for the first time last year.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it. I'm so behind in the movie front.
There's too many. But yeah, probably David Bowie. And just like, and this will probably be a little bit controversial, but I tend to listen to, going up through a goth phase, it was a lot more sort of metal stuff. So even people now who you look at, you go, that's probably a bit problematic, but people like Marilyn Manson, very, in the like early 2000s, very androgynous. I still remember seeing Davey Havok from AFI when they released Miss Murder with the big side fringe and quite clearly male presenting, but also you're like, oh, there's something else there. There's a bit more.
Yeah.
There was femme features
Yeah.
there.
And you're like, oh, cool. That's that was interesting to be like, so it's okay to just be yourself and be attracted to other people. And at first it was sort of like, well, am I just attracted to feminine looking men? As I grew older, I was like, well, no, I'm attracted to people.
Yeah.
Not everyone, obviously, but any gender presentation I might be able to find attractive.
Not that person on the street that's like, oh, I'm okay with it, just as long as you don't have a crush on me. We've all met those people.
We have, unfortunately.
That was the biggest part of homophobia / biphobia that you want to call it, is just you were targeted, and this does come from a place of generally straight dudes.
Yeah.
You are bi, so you must think that I'm attractive and you're going to try and
hit on me,
sleep with me, hit on me. Yeah. And it's just like,
you're like, calm down, you're not that great.
You should say you've got too much tickets on yourself.
you're a solid 6, mate. Like,
calm down.
Lose the tickets, we'll talk.
Yeah.
Just touching on Marilyn Manson, despite being problematic and all the allegations against him as of late and all that, I guess he was one of those people in the public eye that did identify openly as bisexual, and having such...
Really?
Yeah, probably having such a big straight male following, even though he's problematic now, kind of paved the way for that to be generally okay and generally creating acceptance.
And for other people just being able to then go, oh, I can ask myself these questions, whether it's in private or out in the open, and not feel targeted.
Yeah. That's another thing that I feel is super important. If you're in the public eye and you are a celebrity or you are a public figure, obviously you don't want the world to know the ins and outs of your private life. But some people don't realize how much that can help a community or help a single person pave the way to creating an accepting space, especially if your following to start with is a lot of straight people. Yes, you run the risk of losing a fan base, as, you know, just recently we think we've come so far in the world, and Billie Eilish was outed as bisexual, and suddenly now she's lost
all this backlash,
300,000 followers. Like, aren't we better than this today? You know?
That's wild that someone's preference of their sexuality is going to affect you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, it doesn't affect anybody. I don't understand this.
No.
It's one thing my brain just doesn't comprehend.
Yeah, and I just being out in public spaces, whether it might be getting a haircut, going and getting a tattoo, or just like something where you're sitting in a space with other people for a long time, people act like other people's decisions on the other side of the world that have nothing to do with them affect their individual lives. I heard someone complaining about Sam Smith wanting to dress the way that he does, and it makes him angry. It's like, but
why?
But why?
Yeah.
Doesn't bother you.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's the same as this episode will probably come out a couple of weeks after this event, but there was a non-binary child that was bashed in a US bathroom in a school just recently, and obviously that's horrific in itself, but then when they were transported to hospital they died the next day. And the amount of hate I have seen online, and even from this, like the school itself and the people surrounding that area and the incident, is just like they were in the wrong for being who they are, which doesn't affect anybody else.
No.
And I think the weaponization of protecting the children has hurt far more children than it's done any good for.
Yeah.
100%. I think just quickly, I know we mentioned David Bowie and Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like...
She's not a goth child. She has no idea.
I don't know things. I'm innocent. Obviously, speaking about your bisexuality or pansexuality and coming out, other than those two, have there been any celebrity awakenings for you?
Oh, look, there's plenty of celebrities that I find attractive. I think I commented on one of your posts seeing Luke Evans in Dracula Untold.
Oh, yeah.
I don't blame you.
Extremely handsome man. And then Kate Beckinsale through all of the Underworld movies.
Oh, same.
And
Same.
Van Helsing. You're just like, okay, maybe it's a vampire fetish. I don't know.
You're like, just put me in the sandwich. It doesn't matter.
There's plenty of people. I think recently, I just realized this is another vampire movie, but seeing Nick Holt I think it's Nicholas Holt in Renfield.
Oh,
okay.
Absolutely amazing. You're just like, oh, this is just a person being a person, but he tends to be a little less masculine than the stereotypical protagonist or antagonist, I can never remember which one, male character. Like he's the good male guy, but he's not this super jacked Chris Hemsworth looking dude. He's just a regular looking guy. I think there was something special in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty cool.
There was something I was going to ask on the back of what you were asking then, and now, I was going to say celebrities that give you representation today, but then you kind of just answered that. So that's good.
I think another big one is Pedro Pascal.
Oh, yeah.
He's been a very big voice and help for all queer people.
Yeah, all the community.
Does he identify other than straight?
No, but he has, I believe,
trans.
Yeah, trans sister. So he's been very vocal about supporting queer spaces and queer
good.
people.
Yeah. He's a pillar for the community.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And sometimes we need allies that are
straight.
Yeah, literally straight.
Or just anyone that's willing to help, just show people that we're just other people.
We're just people.
That's it. That's it. That was the other thing we said when we started the podcast was this isn't just for people who identify as queer. This is for people surrounding that community to better get to know the people in the community and how you can help them and how you can support them.
Yep.
Just brings it back to we're all human and we're all struggling to get up that hill.
Yeah.
And we just, all of us need a little push sometimes.
That sounded like a song lyric.
Running up that hill.
You never know who you're going to help.
Exactly.
And if you live in a world and you try and spread love and spread acceptance, you're going to help someone somewhere at some point.
Yeah.
And more people should be striving to do that so that we can all live a much happier life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think we need to put that saying on a t-shirt amongst all our other t-shirts. You never know who you're going to help.
That's it. And see, that's exactly why people will listen to this episode and take parts of your story, Zack, and go, that's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
And they might not have ever felt like someone felt how they did. And then you've changed that person's life in a day.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
To end the episode, do you have a worst first date that you've ever been on, Zach?
No, not really.
What a bummer.
I was
gonna
thinking
say
about
lucky.
this. I know. I was just like, oh man, look, there is probably someone out there that has that for me. I think it's not the worst first date by any stretch of the imagination, but a funny first date story.
Oh, that's right. We'll take it.
Yeah, so this is with my current partner.
It worked out. It's all good.
Oh yeah, it did. It worked out, and she won't have a problem with me telling this story.
Oh, well, as long as she doesn't have a problem, that's fine.
So I'd been out of the dating game for a long time. I had tried using Tinder for the first time, and I hated it. I think I spent like 3 days on there, but
Yeah.
I ended up matching with my current partner. We talked for a while. We ended up taking it off Tinder because we both just like Tinder's so shit.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
It's not a good experience for a lot of people.
No.
So let's take it off. We'll just talk casually, and we talked for a little while first, and then we decided that we're going to go out on a date. And the day was approaching, or the day approached, and we were going to go hang out, do some stuff in the valley, and have a good night. And so I'm sitting there at South Bank because we're going to walk across the bridge and have a good night. And then I get this phone call like, oh, I've been in a car accident.
Oh
Oh my God.
And you're like, okay, so that's a bit much. It's all good. If you want to go home. And it's like, no, it'll be fine. And an hour passed and 2 hours passed. Like, have I just been
Stood up or catfished or something.
like,
catfished.
has this been ghosted? Like, am I in trouble here? The phone call again, like, hey, like, I'm just really concerned because you've just said you're in a car accident. I don't want to put pressure on you to go out and do anything. I just want to make sure that you're okay.
You're okay, yeah.
No, I'm still coming. Just had a bit of a panic attack. And this lasted for like another 2 hours. And then eventually, like, I'm on the way. Oh, thank God. I was so panicked that I'd just been stood up for 4 hours in the city, or that something terrible had happened to this person that I had started talking to and really well clicked with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
That's
then
so good.
That's, yeah. We've been together for 18 months, I think, something like that.
Oh, nice. That was literally the question I was just about to ask. And how long
Yeah.
have you guys been together now?
Yeah, so a little while now. So it all
Okay.
worked out. And thankfully, there's been no more car accidents.
Yeah, thank goodness for that.
Let's keep that luck going strong. Oh, well, it's been such an amazing time to talk to you, Zach. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us on Just
No.
Gay Stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
That's right.
It's been a pleasure.
It has. I said to Jess, it's so important, especially for you to being our first male representative voice on the podcast. So that's so exciting.
That is really exciting.
I was terrified. I'm not going to lie.
You did so well.
You did so well. It's fine. Everybody says that. We're terrified half the time. It's all good.
We were out of practice because I was away last week. So this is the first pod we've done in 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, we're dusty and rusty and we're going to have to do it
A bit crusty. We didn't get the
Yeah.
practice. We just weren't.
Anyway, it worked out well. So thanks so much,
Thanks
Zach.
so much, Zach.
No worries, guys, and enjoy your live one.
We
And
will
remember
do.
to-
Remember to stay gay, motherfuckers.
I'm talking about, you're talking about, we're talking about just gay stuff.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Just Gay Stuff. Make sure to follow us at Just Gay Stuff Podcast on all your socials and write to us with your stories at justgaystuffpodcast@gmail.com.